super blurry. Weird. So, I don't have a selfie stick on me or anything.
You're fine.
So I'm just gonna have to hold my phone. I should probably just start taking a selfie stick with me everywhere. Anyway, so Mom and I just saw a premiere of The Mummy. Thanks to Matthew working at OMSI, they have like movie premieres and stuff like that, so sometimes you get into them. I guess it just came out today. I had no idea what to expect because I didn't watch any trailers or anything. I didn't really care. I guess it's basically supposed to be like the old Brendan Fraser one, but it's like a retelling, so it's not a sequel, it's a new one. Well, I'll kind of put my bit and then I'll ask your jump in, and feel free to jump in at any time. The beginning, I was pretty worried. It was not great at the beginning. For one thing, Tom Cruise is the main character in this one now, and to be honest, I'm just not a big Tom Cruise fan overall. I think he as a person is pretty so it really takes a lot for me to like him in a movie too, because unfortunately if I don't like the person, it's hard for me to like him as an actor. And also just, I don't know, a lot of the comedy felt really forced. Other than the Tom Cruise though, the one that plays his friend that dies, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, I've always liked that actor. And the one that plays the mummy, the titular mummy, she was actually the bad guy's assistant in Gentleman's Club? I can't remember what it's called. The one that, oh, the Kingsman, that's right, Kingsman Service. She plays the bad guy in that. And so she's again a bad guy in this one. As the movie progresses, yeah, and she, okay, so as the movie continues, it gets a little more interesting. For one thing, it branches off into a universe where she's not the only evil thing. Like there's, sort of, well, I'm trying not to spoil it, but kind of the secret society of evil defeating evil kind of thing, which what I wasn't expecting at the beginning, and that made it a little more interesting. And there's kind of a play on another well-known evil character. So I wouldn't say excited, but they definitely set it up for a sequel, and I wouldn't mind seeing what other kind of, old stories they bring into it. But basically there are two recurring things that really bothered me about this movie. Not to mention all the cliches, like I joked to her, you can make a drinking game out of the cliches, but I mean, that's a lot of movies. So if you ever saw the movie Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp, I had the same observation. It's a movie that doesn't know whether to be dark or funny. And there are a lot of parts where they're like, dark, 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 throw in a joke, and you're just like, haha? Like, it was very, there's no transition between the dark and the funny, and it's just, it really didn't work, and they kept trying it. And then the other thing is that, I'm not trying to expect miracles with my movies and everything like that, but this is a movie that literally just came out, and how long have we been talking now about having stronger female characters, about having female characters that do something? I mean, it's been a while since I saw the original Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser and, not Keira Knightley, oh, what's her name? See, I wasn't prepared for this. I just figured, why not? I'll do a review of it. From what I remember of those movies, she at least carried her own weight. This one, not so much. I mean, for one thing, the female romantic lead, right when they introduce her, it's a very, like, casual thing, and, like, Tom Cruise's character is not a good guy. And yet, it's like, oh, it's so funny. The guy characters generally get away with a lot more as far as not being, not having moral fiber than female characters a lot. And also, it doesn't make sense because very quickly into the movie, all of a sudden they start acting like each other, they've known each other. Soulmates. And it's like they've known each other 2 days. One
quickie night stand.
Yeah, one quote-unquote 15-second night stand. Ha ha ha, jokes about premature ejaculation. That's the height of humor. It's just they could have very easily just changed the story just a tiny bit to make it like they were old
Plausible.
Flames.
Yeah,
old
plausible.
flames before. Well, I mean, it's a movie about, you know, mummies and stuff, but at least character development wise, they could have made it more plausible. And it's frustrating because it doesn't make sense for them to suddenly like be doing monumental things for each other. And also, she is so freaking useless. She is worse than the Jurassic World chick that, you know, has gotten a lot of criticism for like running around in heels and just basically screaming at everything. Like, again, you could make a drinking game out of every time he saves her. Literally about 6 or 7 or 8 times, you know, pulls her out of danger, or right when she's about to get killed, kills the thing that's trying to kill her, or just everything like that. I think she got like a single kick in there, maybe. There was like a scene where they were all fighting all these, you know, undead, and he's like, smash, smash, kill, smash, and she's like, kick. It was like, oh, yay. So that just really bothered me. And the last thing I want to say, like, at the very beginning, I mean, this is kind of a small, finite detail, but at the very beginning, they set it in Iraq. And they just like throw in an airstrike and blow up this whole area and blah, blah, blah. And they played it for laughs. And I'm like, okay, have you seen the devastation and the war that goes on in the Middle East because we just barged in there with our tanks and our air artillery and just started blowing shit up and, you know, blowing innocent civilians up and destroying families and everything like that. And they played it for laughs at the beginning of this movie for no reason. They very easily could have changed the story.
They had to have an excuse for blowing up the ground.
I guess, but they're like, oh, we're just calling them insurgents, therefore, you know, they didn't throw the terrorist word out there or anything, so therefore they're not being racist or insensitive, but they said it's in Iraq. And it's like, ugh.
It's Iraq, and the enemy was blowing up the tombs and the
and it's just, and they're like, oh, we're here to save, you know, the insurgents are destroying, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was pretty racist. But yeah, not a terrible movie. Just
a lot of special effects.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually one of the good things. Sorry, I'll give you a chance to talk in a second, I promise. So we saw it in 3D, and I meant to ask them if it was real D 3D or IMAX 3D because it said available in both. This was the first 3D movie I've seen where it actually didn't make me sick.
It wasn't too bad.
Didn't give me a headache, and I don't know if it's just where we were sitting or if it's just technology has improved. But I mean, like, I just saw Rogue Squadron or Rogue One in 3D, and I hated it. Like, the 3D effect, I had to take it off. It was just annoying and confusing. So I don't know if it was just where we were sitting or if they actually have improved, but I do have to say that the 3D was actually pretty good, pretty realistic. So my last thing too is about the mummy herself. I understand wanting to have like a cool, you know, charismatic or whatever, interesting bad guy. But sorry to sound like a feminist, which I am, as a feminist, but why is it that female villains always have to be sexy? Always? Like, I can't even think of a single female villain. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but off the top of my head, especially in a movie with like a lot of special effects and monsters and stuff, I can't think of a single female villain that's not like, let me bring you to the dark side. And I'm just like guy villains are allowed to be all sorts of different, you know, looks and attitudes and everything, but girls always have to be sexy. And it's not that I hate, you know, like this particular character. Like, she's actually pretty cool. She looks cool. She's got some, you know, cool lines, and she kind of, when she talked, it reminded me of Midna from Twilight Princess. I'm a big Midna fan, but it's just tiring. I mean, there's just a lot of tropes in this movie, and tropes aren't necessarily a death sentence, but one after another, after another, after another, especially about things that have been in the public consciousness for so many years now, like having stronger, not useless female characters, and just having more variety in villains and stuff. It's just kind of disappointing that they didn't put any attention into that. But anyway, so Mom, what did you think of the movie?
Okay, first of all, I can't guarantee I'm not going to blow something, but
yeah. So stop watching now.
Something you totally missed is that the main female bad character, the mummy, she can't exist without a man to be the king and her husband.
Yeah.
Which means she's nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, the whole thing about the movie hinges on bringing back the god of death. And it's like, she like starts having all these badass powers of like blowing everything up, and it's like, why does she even need set? Why doesn't she just like, cool, I have power, I own the world now? Like, she's still like so focused on just bringing Set back. Yeah, that's actually really good, because like the beginning supposed reason she has liaisons with Set is because she got replaced as the heir, blah blah blah, so it's like she wanted power over the world, and yet the whole time she's back, she spends the whole time just trying to bring back Set. That's actually
so that she can be the queen.
His queen. And he can be god of the world. That's actually, Mom, I'm proud of you. No, that's a great point. Literally, she spends the whole freaking movie with all these powers just trying to bring back the guy that she loves. And I'm just like...
And if she really wanted to be
powerful,
the one in power...
Why would she bring him back?
Why would she bring him back? Exactly.
Ah, okay. Good point, Mom. Continue.
Well, it was an okay movie. The special effects were good and not too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
There was a story to it.
Yeah.
And it was a little different
there were
avenue than some of the previous
There were
ones.
a couple of things that happened where I was like, oh, okay. I mean, a lot of cliches on the small scale, but the overarching story was a little interesting. There's one thing, sorry, I wanted to mention that I was thinking about. I was thinking about the Bechdel test, you know, which is basically, do two females have a conversation that has nothing to do with guys? They almost had it. They had a tiny second of it when the romantic lead is talking to the mummy and basically like, oh, she lived in this ancient time, we shouldn't kill her, we should talk to her and find out what she knows. And it was like this long, like 3 seconds, 4 seconds.
No,
so they almost...
Well, she wasn't actually talking to her though.
No, she was. Remember, she's like, I studied the language of the old gods.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So there was literally...
It was so short.
There was literally about a 3 or 4 second section to the movie where they almost had a conversation that wasn't about trying to bring back the god of death or turn this other guy into the god of death or save him from the god of death. Yeah. Continue.
Well, I don't have much more to say.
Well,
it was an okay movie.
Okay, so what...
I do not really like Tom Cruise, though, particularly in a comedy-ish role.
I mean, he's been in other comedies that were funny, but they were comedies. They weren't horror movies with random sections of comedy. I mean, like, again, it's been a while since I saw the original The Mummy, but from what I remember, The Mummy was 90% comedy with just like occasional like, oh, we gotta run from the spiders kind of thing, whereas this one was like dark and gritty, random comic moment. And I mean, I almost warmed to the guy playing the buddy. Partly because I like that actor, and partly because the movie does need some, you know, all movies need some comedic relief. Well, most movies. But it was just a little tactless the way they did it. It was just a little lacking in... There's no segue, like, from dramatic scene to comedic. It was just like, haha, okay, now back to murder. So, yeah. Well, I mean, scales are really arbitrary, but what out of like 10, 1 out of 10, what would you give it?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe 5.
Really?
Maybe 6.
That was pretty... You like horror movies, though.
There wasn't much horror to this, though.
Mostly special effects,
Just mostly special effects.
Yeah. I mean,
there really weren't any surprises. You knew what was going to happen. Yeah. So in that sense, it's pretty cliche there.
I would say...
You knew what had to happen in order for the story to evolve. Put it that way.
I would say pretty much the only reason I would deliberately go for this movie is just because the mummy looks really cool. She's not interesting, like she doesn't do anything interesting and she doesn't have an interesting backstory. She just looks cool, and she just like the animations and like the costume and stuff looks cool. So, you know, it's like basically watching Face Off. Like, you're just watching it for the costumes, you don't care about the characters. But as far as the story goes...
Tattoo artists might like it.
Yeah. As far as the story goes and the characters and everything like that, you've seen it everywhere in a million other movies, and really, like I said, nowadays, there's no excuse for it to be so cliche.
I think the thing about Tom Cruise is that I don't like him as a person.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
So it just... He's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, you're a psycho.
Not a comedian.
Yeah. He's too practiced. Like, with a lot of comedy, there has to be sort of, at least nowadays, there has to be sort of a almost goofball, self-effacing feel, and he just feels like he's reading off a line. He's very good at it, but he's reading off a line. He doesn't actually act connect to that character. And maybe it has to do with him having so much ego that he can't really portray a goofball, you know, kind of persona and all. Anyway, as far as the sequel goes, maybe I'll see it. I mean, I'd red box it. I wouldn't really go to a theater.
That's what they were setting. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say, and I'll try not to blow it. The ending made no sense to me.
It was very cliffhanger, except it wasn't cliffhanger. It was literally just like...
It was like, huh?
Did at the end. And it was just like, okay.
I mean, I know they were setting it up for a sequel.
Yeah.
I know that.
They didn't even wrap up the story that they started. That's the frustrating thing about cliffhanger. A well-done cliffhanger, you know, finishes the big conflict of that movie, and then they set up a new conflict. This one just sort of was like, final villain, and suddenly, you know, next movie. But anyway, so that's it. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoy that. And I want to do some more movie reviews and game reviews and stuff like that in the future. So if there's any more games or movies out there that you want to know our opinions on, let me know. We might go see Boss Baby and or Beauty and the Beast soon, so I could do one for that. Otherwise, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2 if it's still playing on Friday, because that's my husband and I's anniversary and he really wants to see it and I really want to see it, so I thought that'd be a nice anniversary thing. But otherwise, yeah. See you later. Bye.